Right, lads. It was a good first round. Let's move on to the second round. Right now, it's going to start getting tougher. You've got number 1, Harry Kane, versus number 7, Alan Shearer.
Fuck me.
That's a tough one now.
What a first round.
I'm out.
I plead the 5th here. Who wants to start it? Niall, we'll go with you.
I'll say Shearer.
Niall?
Because they both won fuck all, but at the same time.
Shearer won a league.
Shearer got a league under him.
Oh, yes, he did with Blackburn. My apologies.
Yes.
So I stand by that.
And he, I think he won an FA Cup as well, didn't he, with Blackburn? No.
No, he didn't. He lost against Chelsea.
An FA Cup.
Lost a semi-final against Chelsea, should I say.
And then he lost the FA Cup final to United as well, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Fell out with Michael Owen as manager as well.
He's right.
Just saying. Yeah, no, I'm going to go with Alan Shearer. I think Alan Shearer, yeah.
2 for Shearer. Ted, clean?
No, I won't go clean. I'll give it to Kane. This is one's obviously extraordinarily.
Ted loves being spat on.
Kane hasn't finished his career yet, so like he could end up with more goals than Shearer by the end of his career in the Premier League. He could.
That's the way he is. He will.
If he bothers his arse to move to a team that can win the league, I believe he'll win the league. But
he's going to be witches next year. Don't worry about
that. He bottled that when he could have went to City.
But Shearer did the same thing. He kind of stuck with a team. He stuck with Newcastle. And there's a lot to be commended there to stick with a team that that's your team.
And then he got them relegated.
Yeah.
The difference is though, Harry Kane was an Arsenal fan growing up. He's just actually a pussy, whereas Shearer literally loved Newcastle.
No, I know. Yeah, I'm just saying that Kane, his career's not over yet, so there's still a lot left to be judged on him. So I'll give him a vote there, just so it's not the clean sweep, but that one, there's no shame in losing to Alan Shearer, is there?
No.
I wonder does Shearer in his quiet moments regret not going to United?
He says he doesn't, but he fully had to.
That's what I mean.
He had 7 league titles.
I don't know if he.
And he could have won United more.
Absolutely.
I don't know if he regrets not going to United, but I'd say he definitely regrets not moving on, whether it was to United or somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well, here we go, lads. This is a tough one now. We've got number 5, Robin van Persie, up against number 12, Fernando Torres. All-round player against an all-round speed finishing machine. Ted, we'll get you to start. 144 goals against 85. I'm still that's that for Torres. It's just mind-boggling that that's all he has.
Yeah, well, I mean, he had a relatively short career in the Premier League, didn't he? And he wasn't playing in strong side either for a lot of it. That's a tough one, because as much as I love Van Persie, I think Van Persie again could hit the sixpence from anywhere you ask him to. Torres could kind of do that as well. There's nothing didn't really stop Torres. I'm going to go with a bit of longevity here again, just because we're only using their Premier League career. We're not using anything else. So Atletico, Real Madrid, all of that, none of that matters. So I'm going to go with Van Persie, just for longevity within the league.
Nialish, what do you got?
Yeah, I think you have to go for Van Persie just based on the volume of goals, don't you? Really, let's be honest here. It's a striker show and stuff like that, and goals count a lot, but I think you have to go in this case. I mean, Nando was sensational as well, but I think you have to go for Van Persie. I know Torres has some absolute screamers as well. If you look at Van Persie's top 10, there could be a pick of 50 that he could put in there.
Yeah.
Where would you have gone?
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you asked me last, because I was going to go wherever the two boys were going. It was really a hard one. It was a hard one, actually.
But if you had a deciding vote, where would you have gone?
Van Persie.
Just the sheer volume of goals.
Yeah.
I'm guaranteed to get you a goal when he played. Do you know what
That
I mean?
was that was the thing, yeah. You
Yeah.
know,
Like,
if
remember
Ferguson hadn't
remember
signed,
that? Yeah.
Ferguson hadn't signed him, we weren't winning that.
Torres was a confidence and a form player. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Whereas
That's
Van
a very
Persie-
good way of describing him, because when he lost a bit of confidence, he never got it back.
No. Whereas Van Persie give the boy the ball. As soon as the ball was bouncing, you were like, is he going to take it down on his left peg, or is he just going to fucking smack it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And he didn't care. If he missed 10 chances, he didn't care.
No.
He'd just keep going. He was relentless.
Yeah. So Van Persie for
Now,
me.
this is going to be a tough one. Right, boys, hold on to your hats. Here we go. Thierry Henry versus Wayne Rooney.
Henry.
Ted?
For
And
me,
it's not because of the amount of goals scored or
I-
disrespect to Rooney. Just the reason I said Henry straight off the bat is because I think when we're talking about Henry here, we're talking about one of the top 2 or 3
Royalty.
ever.
Premier League
I mean,
royalty.
changed the game. He brought it in from the late 90s into the 90s.
Yeah, he was deadly, wasn't he?
You know, I think,
Vava Voom and all that.
man, he was an unlike. Now talk about a horrible cunt. Sorry.
You ever notice the cunt didn't sweat neither? Running about 40 miles an hour, not a drop of sweat on
He's
him.
an alien. You know what I mean? That's the thing. But no, he's Henry. Just without Henry, there probably isn't the likes of the Rooneys and all. Do you know what I mean? Because he was the type of player that the Rooneys and all would have been looking at, going, "Holy shit, I want to be like that guy." You know what I mean?
The battles him and Van Nistelrooy had for top goal scorer were deadly.
Different class. Yeah.
Okay, that's Henry. Nialish.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Henry here as well. I just think, similar to what we spoke about with Zola and stuff like that, he's another guy that came in, lit up the Premier League. Also had to make a huge adjustment into the way he played and his position as well, and how he evolved and stuff like that. But in terms of the amount of moments he racked up in the Premier League as well, and even the synergy he had with teammates and all that kind of stuff and all. Yeah, for me, Henry all day. I mean, if I was sitting here to sign a player, it'd be Henry before Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, if you had to sign a striker, unfortunately, it is Henry. As much as I love Wayne, he was too selfless. He'd take the backseat to anybody. Yeah. Right, we've signed this lad and we want to put him up front. Wayne, you're going to have to drop back to the number 10. Yeah, that's fine. Sign this lad, he's going to take number 10. You'll have to go back to the left wing or something there, Wayne. Yeah, I'll do that. No worries, Gaffer, I'll do that. So
he was the ultimate team player.
He was like, if you could sign someone and they didn't have to be your striker, you could just pick them to play anywhere, I'd probably go Wayne. But this is about strikers, and if you want to put one person up top and guarantee that you're going to, that they're going to put you ahead in the game, fortunately it is Henry, isn't it?
Listening to Henry though, I was listening to something that popped up on Facebook where he's talking about making adjustments to his game. He's like, Pires loved the 1-2, so I know I'd have to come short. Bergkamp could put it anywhere, so I was always in behind.
Breakdown, wasn't it? It was great to break down.
It's how he adjusted his game to who he was playing with.
Yeah,
just made him special.
Yeah, he's royalty, as Niall said. He's royalty.
If I was voting myself, it would have been for Henry.
Yeah,
as much as I hated him, I loved him. It was a love-hate relationship. I loved to watch him, but I hated him playing against United.
Same with me.
It's very hard when you look back to hate anything about that Arsenal side, isn't it? When you look back,
they were deadly.
Sublime.
I think that it might be different for you. In Liverpool, obviously they weren't challenging really for the titles at that stage, where it was United and Arsenal for them couple of years. The hatred was a little bit deeper growing up for me. Especially I have a lot of English family that live just beside Highbury and stuff. So like my first thing I went over, my uncle brought me to Highbury to watch them training. Oh, we've lost Eno. If he's not back by the next vote, I'll just jump in.
Yeah, cool.
And I'll start voting. But yeah, so I went over. I was only about 6 or 7, and my uncle got me an Arsenal kit, and I got it signed. It was signed by Dennis Bergkamp, and
nice.
I think it was Ray Parlour.
Nice.
And I got home, and my dad threw it in the bin.
See, this is where that sort of thing's very difficult, because you've been given a kit and it's signed by Dennis Bergkamp, and especially at your age, you're like, no, I'm United through and through. Fuck that. When you look back now, you're like, Fuck me, I wish I still
Wish I still had that. Yeah,
Wish I had that top that was signed by
it was
Ghost
the
Bergkamp.
big JVC jersey.
Yeah, I was so different at that time, even though we didn't have much of a card in the game and stuff like that at the time. But I just remember at the time having such a huge appreciation for Arsenal.
Yeah, you have to respect
Wenger
it, don't you?
and how football was evolving at the time, and the way they went about their business. It kind of reminded me kind of like that kind of Pep rootlessness. Like you look at Fergie, there was a rootlessness with Fergie, but Fergie had rootlessness at so many levels, even within his own squad and stuff like that.
Oh,
with
yeah.
Arsenal, there was a lot of rootlessness. It was just directed at the opposition and stuff like that, and just they were just, the way they played football was really, it was just so pleasing on the eye to watch as well. Whereas at times with United, you know yourself, it was kind of, sometimes it was injury time stuff and just thunderbolt, just smashing opposition down. Arsenal had just a way of opening up opposition to create opportunities.
They were just savage, weren't they?
Yeah, they rewrote the book on football again, really, if you like, you know.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't look like will be back. I'm not sure what happened. So I'll jump in his place.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a United winner tonight, lads.
I would try and be fair.
Surprise.
I know. To be fair, I voted against a lot of the United players.
I have as well. I voted for against the United player or two already. Yeah.
I voted them in.
Yeah,
it's true. Niall, how much have you had to drink tonight?
Not much.
Right, lads. Number 11, Dennis Bergkamp, Henry's strike partner for a long time, against number 14, Robbie Fowler. These are the two difference of strikers. This is the playmaking striker against the goal scoring striker. This is all dependent on where your preference.
What's the goals again, Greg?
163 for Fowler. Yeah. Bergkamp has 87, just about double, give or take. 11.
No, you have to. I'm going to give it to Fowler. Look, if he's double the amount of goals, but what I'd also say as well is I think Bergkamp played in much better teams.
Yeah.
So from that reason, I'm going to give it to Fowler as well. I think Fowler. You look at a lot of Fowler's playing a lot of Fowler's goals, even though he was a poacher as well at times. But Fowler at times had to create so much himself, similar to Mo Salah. And I think he was just. He was outstanding from that point of view as well.
It was a different gravy, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you'd Fowler in there as a star at the time in quite a bang average side.
Yeah.
And look how many goals Fowler would have got if Bergkamp had been his strike partner. You know.
Look how many goals anyone would have got if Bergkamp was his strike partner.
Yeah, but I just think that's the case. Yes, for me, Fowler.
Yeah, I think for me, as I said earlier, Bergkamp is he's one of my all-time favorite players to watch. But this is a striker's show, and as Niall said earlier, goals do count. Bergkamp, I would say, has way more assists than Fowler does under his belt, but that's because that's what he did as a striker. He was more willing to set up somebody else to make sure they finish. He was less
even with goal contributions, he's still below Fowler's amount of goals.
Yeah.
So I think, unfortunately, it does for me. It's unfortunate for me because of how much I love Bergkamp. I have to give it to Fowler there if you're being fair on it.
Yeah,
absolutely. You couldn't go against double the amount of goals.
No. So what? I can't let Bergkamp go out 3-0, so I'm going to give it to Bergkamp. But if it came to a deciding vote, I would have went Fowler.
Yeah, unfortunately, you have to in that sort of circumstance.
Right, lads. Here's another big one. It's Van Nistelrooy versus Gianfranco Zola. Missed out on this on the wrong time. Ted, do you want to start this one off?
Yeah. For me, it is going to be Van Nistelrooy. I think he was just the definition of an out striker. As we said earlier, he scored one goal from outside the box. I think is definitely at United, but I think in his entire career, he probably had less.
No, he did score a few for.
That's what I was going to say. I'd say he has less than 10 outside the box in his entire career. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could count it on, if not one hand, within two hands, you could count how many times he finished outside of the box. But he just knew where to be. He knew how to put the ball into the net, and his confidence never got rocked. Never.
Even when he came back from that ACL tear and stuff, he was just relentless.
Yeah. Now, for me, it's Van Nistelrooy, and I know Ian's probably going to be annoyed about this if Van Nistelrooy goes through.
I'd say he would have went Van Nistelrooy himself, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so.
He might have done, but there'll always be the Chelsea support there. But I think Van Nistelrooy has an extra 30 or so on Zola as well, doesn't he?
36.
Yeah. So.
Which overall isn't that much for someone that played centre forward, really. But I know he left after 7 years.
Yeah. I don't think it was 7 years, was it?
To come back from an ACL and to maintain that level is...
Yeah.
For me, he might have actually come back stronger.
Yeah, true.
And he remember when United went to sign him, he had an ACL tear then, and we waited another year.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, well, that's going to be a clean sweep, unfortunately. Zola was deadly, though. Can't deny the man's talent. So we've got number 23. Wait. Hold on, sorry. We've got number 23. Can't be. What do we have in the last one? 25 was Defoe. Ted, you're the magic man here.
I don't
Can't read my own writing.
Well,
No, 23. Defoe and Les Ferdinand last time.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I couldn't read my own. I couldn't read my own writing here. So Les Ferdinand against Carlos Tevez.
I think this is it's going to be a clean sweep. I think Tevez is a bastard, but he goes through on this as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were going Tevez? I would have went Ferdinand here.
Yeah, no, Tevez for me.
Yeah, no, Tevez, he's a horrible bastard, but he was a sublime goal scorer.
He was. Good footballer too. So that's Tevez through. Right, number 17, Sergio Aguero against number 18, Eric Cantona.
Whoa.
So I'll start this one. This goes back to the same argument the same thing we've been saying for the last couple of rounds. This is a striker against a creator, really. Aguero, I always maintain, is one of the best centre forwards I've seen ever in the league. And he's going to get my vote here. I know Cantona changed the form for United, but I'm going to go Aguero here.
I'm going to leave it down to Niall. I'm going to go Cantona, but I have a feeling I know where this one is going to go.
I don't think you can deny Aguero.
No, I don't think you can.
His impact at Man City has been monstrous. To be honest, I think if City hadn't have got him, I don't know where they would. I don't know where they'd be where they are now. If you like, I think Aguero's been. Even across a number of managers, he was sensational.
His first game, he scored 4 at Swansea.
Yeah, I would say that he had as big an impact at Man City as Cantona did at United.
That's a tough one.
It is, but again, it comes down to number of goals scored, and Cantona.
That's head and heart voting there. Aguero's deadly, though.
Oh yeah, it's definitely, I'm voting for Cantona with my heart, but like if I had to make the deciding vote, it's only fair that
these decisions could all change pending those financial breaches.
Yeah. What happened? All those league titles gone.
That Aguero moment winning the league.
And the pictures of the Sunderland fans singing ha ha ha, and then getting relegated the next season. They don't count anymore. Right, lads. Number 15 is Andy Cole versus number 24, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank.
Andy Cole for me.
Yeah, it's Cole.
It's going to be a clean sweep on this one here.
Yeah.
As much as I like Jimmy Floyd, and he's not a bad pundit either.
Very good, actually.
Yeah, I like Jimmy Floyd. Yeah, he was always a workhorse in the teams he was in and stuff. But if you had to pick someone today in their prime to put up front in your team, you'd want Andy Cole.
187 goal, Andy Cole all day.
Yeah.
Hasselbank is the only guy in the studio that doesn't fear talking back to Roy Keane.
Yeah.
Everyone else tiptoes around him. 2
of them have had a couple of clashes over the years.
Yeah, and they've been good.
Oh, yeah.
Right, lads. Number 7, the record goal scorer, Alan Shearer, versus number 5, Robin Van Persie.
Just comes down to goals, really, doesn't it, for me?
Unfortunately, unfortunately. It's going to come down to goals here, and that is going to put Shearer through, isn't it?
Yeah, I think as you get tighter through the rounds, it'll come down to volume of goals. Really.
I think there'll eventually be an argument against Shearer because
all-round game has to be.
Yeah, I think all-round game will eventually come into it as well.
Impact them.
Yeah, and I think
success.
It doesn't come in here yet. Like Van Persie did very well in what was a very average Arsenal team, and then Ferguson picked him up because he needed somebody to win him the league, and he brought him in, and it won him the league.
Which, when you look at it, was probably not the greatest Man United team either, though.
No, it wasn't a great Man United team, and
but like it is what it is, isn't it? Shearer was deadly.
If you could take Shearer in his prime as well, you'd have snapped him up. United did try to snap him up
on 3 occasions. Well, that's the first man into the semi or into the quarterfinal.
Yeah, I think it's only.
Or sorry, into the semi-finals.
Yeah, I think it's only fair that he gets in there.
Oh,
yeah, he should be getting to there at least that stage. The only way he could have seen is if he lost the eventual winner.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Van Persie. 144 goals just wasn't good enough this time.
No.
Number 6 against number 14. So number 6 being Thierry Henry at 175. Number 14 being Robbie Fowler at 163. Where you going, Nilesh?
It's a killer, isn't it? Look, it's a killer. I'm gonna have to go with Henry.
Yeah,
I have to go with Henry. I think Henry is. I think even the staunchest of Liverpool fans, although we loved Robbie Fowler and stuff like that, he was our god and all that kind of thing. But I think if you look at Henry, I think just the mark he has left on football, the success and everything else, and the goals that he scored at unbelievable moments for unbelievable situations, I think you have to go with Thierry Henry, don't
you? He'd been the first real marketable player in the Premier League as well, wouldn't he?
He's kind of the first guy that sort of image rights developed and stuff like that, isn't it? Him and Beckham and stuff like that, wasn't it? Really, like
Cantona had some as well.
Yeah,
obviously the flicked up collar and stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, in terms of marketable, you don't remember he used to do a load of ads and the Renault ad.
The Vava.
And then with Beckham had the Calvin Klein and the aftershaves and the aerosols and the shaving gear. And
every ad ever made.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, even all his own brands, even and stuff like that. No, but when you think of those guys, those are the guys that stick out where it became much more than football. And sports science at the time was kicking in, diet and how you had to carry yourself and how you had to look and all that kind of stuff and all, Well, they very professional, if you like.
Yeah.
They maintained that Beckham was the fittest player to ever play in the Premier League as well. Scientists do.
Wouldn't be surprised.
I mean,
I don't know how you judge that off something, but like,
I mean, you look at him now and he's what, mid-40s?
50, is he? 50?
Maybe even 50. And I'd say if you stuck a pair of boots on him and sent him out there to play for, 45 minutes every game, he'd still run people ragged. You know what I mean?
He could have come on for the final.
Could have done if you brought him on.
Come on for the final. He's just
lap him on instead of Sancho, and I'd have been laughing.
Right, lads, that's one semi-final complete.
Yeah,
and we know that's not going to be a nice one.
No, this is where I think the argument will be a little bit tighter. It won't just come down to goals, because longevity will come into that as well.
So now we have Van Nistelrooy, who left United in bitter terms. And Tevez, who left United in bitter terms. What you got here, boys? It's 84 versus 95.
I'll go first.
The 95. Go ahead, Ted.
I'll go first. For me, it's going to be Van Nistelrooy. Both left on bitter terms, but if you offered me either one of those in their prime now, I'd be Van Persie or Van Nistelrooy all day.
I think if we could sign Van Nistelrooy in his prime, it'd be just as impactful as buying a 100 million striker, because he could close that gap between City and United.
He'd be that 100 million striker now at this stage. I think Tevez was a very good player, but
another selfless player.
Yeah, again, very selfless. He'd kind of push out to the wings and stuff. Whereas, if you had 10 minutes left in the game and you had to bring one of those two on to bag you a goal, you'd want it to be Van Nistelrooy. That was the one stepping up into the box. Yeah. So for me, it'll be Van Nistelrooy. Both low on goals, but didn't have extraordinarily long careers in the Premier League either.
I was actually surprised with how low. I know you told me a couple of weeks ago that he didn't break the 100, and I was like, for some reason, I always thought he had 115 or something.
I think
But I
that
was
might be his
relatively
overall.
surprised. I was surprised. He's 154 for United. Tevez has only 84.
Yeah. And Tevez, I think, might possibly have played more games in the Premier League overall.
He'd 84 Premier League goals, Greg, in total.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that.
Yeah, because he quite a career at West Ham, didn't he, as well?
He had that one season where he kept them up, and then he went to United. And he had 3 great seasons there, and then he went to City, and he seemed to have a couple of good seasons there.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I know where you boys are going to go, so I'll give it to Tevez just for the welcome to Manchester, something.
Yeah, cunt. Delighted he pulled hot oil over himself, the cunt.
Oh, Jesus.
Right, number 17, Sergio Aguero against number 15, Andy Cole. 184 against 187.
It's a lot closer than you'd think, isn't it?
So do you stick with the goals?
Not when it's that
Argument
close.
here?
Not when it's that close. You can't. No.
Right, Niall, do you want to start it off?
Trying to figure it out in my head.
Same as myself. You go ahead there, Greg, since the two of us are still trying to work it out.
For me, like I've always said, Aguero was lethal. Lethal. Yeah, he could run, he could finish, he could head for a small man. I think Andy Cole was just a different gravy, wasn't he? Done it at Blackburn or Newcastle, sorry, not Blackburn. Another player that went from United to City, or United to about 15 clubs and City in between. As much as I love Aguero, I think the last couple of goals, Aguero played more games, as far as I'm aware, for City. He played in a better City team than Cole played in a lot of other teams. I'm going to go with Andy Cole. Niall?
I think it's very hard to judge this one. I think I'm going to go. I'm going to agree with you, but the reason I'm going to agree with you was because I think Andy Cole at Newcastle performed at such a high level, and I think Andy Cole
goals, yeah.
and Andy Cole at United performed at such a high level as well. So I think just because it was across 2 clubs in the Premier League,
and even at City, he performed to a level.
Yeah, at a very high level as well. But I think especially those two, and especially his career at Newcastle that time was sensational as well. He was unbelievable there as well. So I just think because of that, as opposed to like Aguero's sensational player as well. So you're tallying off sort of Andy Cole, and you look at Andy Cole's success as well. Kind of did it all and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Andy Cole.
Intriguing. I actually didn't expect that now.
Yeah.
So it's Mr. Andrew Cole into the semi-final. Ted, where would you have gone?
I think, yeah, similar to yourselves, I would have gone Andy Cole. You can't use. I used the argument earlier against Dwight York of, it was because of the partnership he had, but that's not necessarily the case with Andy Cole. Yes, he had that partnership with Dwight York when he was at United, but he didn't have that partnership at Newcastle in that way. When he was, banging in 30 goals a season and things like that. So yeah, Andy Cole would pip it just for me, just because when Aguero came in, yes, City weren't a big team at the time, but they spent a lot of money to make sure that they were a competitive team, and then he was with that team for the rest of his career. Well, that's
allegedly.
That's still allegedly illegal, but he came into a team that was built up to win that Premier League, and I know every team should be building to win the Premier League as much as they can.
That's not possible though.
I think when Andy Cole came into that United side, there would have been a lot more pressure on the lad than Aguero going into Man City as well. The expectation was much higher at United at that time.
Had to hit the ground running and go.
Yeah, and look, Fergie's the manager, so you're not gonna he doesn't suffer fools gladly either, you know.
No, yeah. So I think it's fair for Cole to make it that far. It's unfortunate for Aguero to come up against someone like that.
With those
because
two, it's a flip of a coin for those
Yeah.
two. It's a flip
Yeah.
of a coin, really.
I mean, like Aguero could have been the other side of the draw there, and he would have been in him and Andy Cole in the semi-final, because I would have voted Aguero over Van Nistelrooy.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Definitely.
When you look at this, Andy Cole, Alan Shearer, and Thierry Henry, right, and Van Nistelrooy. So 3 of them are in the top 6 goal scorers in the Premier League.
Yeah, and like if Van Nistelrooy had a couple of more years in the Premier League, I have no doubt he would have been up there as well.
Yeah, I think the ACL that cost him a year.
Yeah, and also as Greg said, if he had come to United in his peak,
Yeah,
you know, I mean, would have made a huge difference.
Right then, lads, semi-final time. Henry and Shearer. Who wants to start?
I don't know, because if you go by the goals argument, you're obviously going Shearer.
All-round game, Henry.
All-around game, Henry. Longevity, Shearer as well. But had Henry had Henry stuck around, would he have beaten Shearer's record? I don't think he would have beaten Shearer's record even.
The one thing I would have said was he had the chance to stay. Arsenal offered him a new contract, and he wanted to go to Barcelona.
Yeah, he did. I don't know. Henry probably won more as well.
Henry definitely won more. In 2 seasons, Henry won more.
I know, yeah, by quite a lot. Henry would have won more.
Don't forget, Henry was also part of the Invincibles.
Yeah,
he was, but well, I am going to go Shearer here because he has a record that stood for an extraordinary amount of time. Like, you know, there's been a lot of great strikers come into this league, and most of them haven't got close. I mean,
3 decades. 3 decades.
Who's got close? Wazza and Kane, really? Is there
anybody else? Yeah.
Is there anybody else that was?
There's no one else over 200.
That's what I mean. Like, you know,
Andy Cole is next.
Yeah, it's hard to look past the man when he's had a record that stood for 30 years, where defenders could be that bit more rough and tumble. Wasn't necessarily playing in the greatest sides for a lot of that career. So I am still going to go with Alan Shearer because it is just Premier League. So everything that Henry accomplished outside of the Premier League isn't to be taken into account here, unfortunately.
Niall?
I'm going to go with Henry. And the reason I'm going to go with Henry is because I think the goals that he scored were more influential in leading to success and winning trophies.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think I'm going to go with Henry because I just think, how would I put this?
Shearer's a cunt.
No, not necessarily that. I just think with Henry, I think his time at Arsenal, to me, when I look at it, stands for more than Shearer's time at Newcastle. And I think most of Shearer's success was at Blackburn at a time where Walker buried the money in there and developed it and stuff like that. And they kind of stole a march, really. But I think if you look at Henry's goals, I think he scored even in the Invincibles and stuff like that. If you look at his goals and stuff like that, I think his goals stand out a lot more in that time in terms of certain moments when he needed to score and when the team needed a goal, they could lean on him to deliver more, I think.
So in that Invincible season, there was 7 games when Henry scored in the last 15 minutes that either caused a draw or a comeback to win.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And like Ted said, you could always argue with Shearer having that record over 3 decades. But if you look at that Invincibles record as well, that Invincibles record and how long that's gone as well, and hasn't been touched is a testament. And as you said, Greg, seven games where they leaned on him to get over the line for that Invincibles thing, which some people discard as kind of a small thing, but I think that's a really big thing to go all season on the field.
You're 1-0 down in the 82nd minute, I think, at United, and he scored an equaliser.
Yeah.
He was, I think it was West Ham was another one.
Yeah, the amount of times that Invincibles nearly went, like, it was so. But they just found a way, and when you find a way, and that's the guy you lean on, and more often than not he delivers, I think that kind of outweighs, in this case, the volume of goals in my mind. Anyway, I just think he scored more goals that led to more success, and I think when you look at that Invincibles thing, it's very hard to go against it.
Yeah. Well, this is where it gets tough. You know, you're after the
Yeah.
semi-finals.
Oh,
It's
100%.
always going to come down to a
100%.
very tough thing at this point.
So for me, I'm going Henry. It was an easier decision than it should have been. Pace, power, finishing, passing, assists,
Yeah.
everything for me, bar the amount of goals that he scored, because Shearer was in the league longer.
Yeah.
Like I think if Kane sticks around, he will break Shearer's record. I think he would have broke it this season if he had went to City 2 years ago. But that Henry, the Invincibles, the 4 league titles, the FA Cups. I know it's only the Premier League we're doing, but his impact at Arsenal is likened to the impact that Cantona made at United.
Yeah.
He changed, and coming from struggling at Juventus, as a winger, to be converted to a centre forward with electric pace was just disastrous for strikers.
Yeah,
or for defenders.
I think the point you make there is really good, where we are talking about the Premier League, but the fact that they won those FA Cups as well meant there was mileage on the legs in those seasons, and he still performed because they got to the latter stage of the FA Cup and went on and win it. So they were obviously playing a ton more games than most other teams. Whereas if you look at Newcastle rarely got to that kind of stage and stuff like that. Arsenal did. And I think from that point of view as well, there would have been much more mileage on him going in there as well. And yet he still performed at a very high level in the league. You know, so there's a lot of that as well. So it's, even though you're talking Premier League, you have to kind of take everything into account as well, because it was a hell of a lot more matches.
Yeah, true.
Within those individual seasons, like
and
not
like,
necessarily overall.
As I said, it was going to take someone big to beat Shearer, and you know, there's no, again, there's no shame in losing to Shearer, and there's no shame in losing out on a strikers contest to a man like Thierry Henry, you know.
And like, as the way it is, like the open draw kind of commits players in. Like, we lost Drogba early, you lost Rooney early, you lost Owen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
a lot of good big names have gone early.
Thing is, I don't think any of those big names go through either of those two either. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Wayne thing, Greg, as well. The interesting thing, even with a random draw that you did, you're still coming down to a lot of the top guys in the latter stages.
And that does tend to be what happens. You know, it's very rare that when you get down to the semi-finals that, somebody's made it all the way through. Like,
unless it was Prince of Egypt.
Yeah, I mean, like same as South Korea making it that far. Like, you wouldn't have put any money on South Korea making it as far as they did either.
So we have a United semi-final here. Andy Cole and Van Nistelrooy.
I think this one's a lot easier than the other side of the bracket, isn't it?
Yeah, one side was definitely easier. And like, as I says, like, if Aguero was on the other side of the top half of this draw, he'd have been in the semi-final.
Yeah. But I think this one is quite simple to go through. It's going to be Andy Cole for me, as much as I love Van Nistelrooy, and I think he's one of the best finishers I've ever seen in my entire life. There's more to finishing as well than just be like, there's more to being a striker than just finishing. Like, there's a lot of other things to do as well. Live,
Van Nistelrooy is the second best finisher I've ever seen live, and that's only because I've seen R9 play.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and that in my opinion is the best striker there's ever been.
Yeah, without injuries, who knows where he would have gone?
He'd have been still playing. But it's going to be Andy Cole for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Who played the better team? Cole played in the better United team as well, did he? Would you agree with that?
Well, Cole played in the treble. And Van Nistelrooy came in 2002 when they won 3 in a row.
I would say Cole overall had the better team because.
Interesting to hear from you. Which did you think was the better team?
If you're talking the whole team, I think it's the one that Cole played in, because if Cole and York aren't performing, bang on Sheringham and Solskjaer. Do you know what I mean?
See, the thing is, with Van Nistelrooy, when he came in, you still had the midfield was still the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The fullbacks were still the same. The two centre backs had changed from Stam. They brought in Ferdinand.
And Vidic.
No, well, yeah, Vidic came in 06 just as Van Nistelrooy was getting ready to leave. You know, just Van Nistelrooy had a worse goalkeeper.
Definitely worse goalkeeper, anyway.
And thing, so it's very hard to say which one was better because the nucleus of them was the same.
But you've got a couple of extra years, which is both, you know, on the
Now,
body,
Beckham,
but then also
Beckham was only
on
there
the
for a
mind.
year.
Yeah, but then you've also got the mind of, you know, the experience of a Roy Keane and a Paul Scholes in comparison to when they were younger.
I think if I had to
Certain
pick
players
though,
in
it
their
would be
prime and stuff, yeah.
it would be 99 because obviously they went all the way in 3 of the 4 trophies.
Yeah, I think just the bench as well in 99 was probably that bit stronger, you know.
Yeah. But here we go, lads. Final time.
Back to
Henry
the
Henry and Andy
2000s
Cole.
here, lads.
This is FIFA 2002 at its best. Andy Cole 86 rated, Henry 87 rated. It is 175 goals for Henry, 187 for Andy Cole, which is at a very alarming stat that he has more goals than Henry.
Yeah, possibly had more time in the league as well, though. Did he?
Oh, he did have more time. He does have more games, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget, Cole played till he was like 36 or something, and he was playing for like City and
Yeah, true.
every team ever made. You want to start it, Ted?
Oh, it's a very tough one, isn't it? Because, like, Cole, as we said earlier, you know, coming up through Newcastle, monster. At United, monster. And he wasn't just a finisher. He had a lot more to his game than that. You know, he was willing to be unselfish to give the ball to Dwight York as well. Like, if he'd been that little bit more selfish, would he have broken the 200 mark if he was that little bit more selfish and there wasn't a Dwight York
Absolutely
there next
would
to
have.
him? Do you know what I mean? So that's a big part of his game as well. Didn't have the pace. Henry definitely had the pace over him.
So I have one here, right? Henry had 74 assists in the league.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just getting Andy Cole's here. It's going to be nowhere near that, but
I think Andy Cole's will be higher, will it?
I would have thought so.
Andy Cole has 73.
So
Jesus,
there's
a lot
one in
closer
it.
than yeah, there's a lot closer there as well than I thought.
I wouldn't have thought that. No, I would have thought Cole's would have been way down, but I forgot he had like 12 assists this season to
Oh,
Dwight
yeah,
York.
no, Cole would use.
I would have thought
usually
Cole's would have
assists.
been significantly higher, to be honest.
So
I'm surprised he's
one
lower.
assist less,
One assist less.
and
Yeah.
12 goals more for Andy Cole.
I don't know. This one is extraordinarily tough because, like, both are absolutely.
Hart would say Andy Cole hands down, but
yeah, but I don't know that. Usually, when people say that, it's heart versus head, and head is saying one thing, heart is saying the other, but the head isn't saying that Andy Cole doesn't deserve to win that either. Possibly a little bit of bias. I'm gonna go with Andy Cole. I have a feeling I'm gonna be pipped out here. I think you two boys will go the opposite way, but I'm gonna go Andy Cole. I just think, although the tail end of his career wasn't as good, I think where he was when he was a younger player, you'd want him in your team every day as well. Now, that's not to say you wouldn't want Henry in your team every day as well.
You say that though, but look at Henry came back to the league as well, and he was dirt for Arsenal.
I know, yeah. I'm gonna go with
Very unfair, Greg.
I'm gonna go with
he was about 50 coming back.
Terrible.
Yeah.
That's a terrible analogy. Jesus.
I'm gonna go Cole.
Talk about swaying the vote.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go Cole. Part of it is probably a bit of the heart playing into that as well, and there's nothing I can do to stop that. But yeah, I'll go Cole.
What you got, Niall?
I'm going to shock you, Greg. I'm going to go with Andy Cole as well. The only reason that I'm going with Andy Cole is because it's so tight, and I just think, for me, the treble is greater than the Invincible, and that's
I
the
mean,
only way I can
the
separate
Invincibles,
them.
you get one trophy. The treble, they took 3.
Well, I think
and
at the time they didn't even get a trophy. That came later on in years, didn't they? When they gave them the little gold cup.
I know they still got the league trophy.
Yeah, of course, yeah, but that's for winning the league.
That super gold cup, yeah.
I mean, you can go invincible in the league and get relegated. You can get 38 draws.
38 draws, and what happens?
As I said to the group chat the other day, 38 draws would have kept you up in the last 6 seasons.
I'm not knocking the Invincibles either, but I think if you look at that treble season and the impact that he had and stuff like that, and like the fact that now in a week's time I might have a different view, because then there might be another treble season which might dilute it slightly.
I think there will be.
Yeah, but I think it's hard to, if you come down to the two of them being so similar in terms of statistics and stuff like that. I think it's for me it's Andy Cole. That treble season, it broke my heart. Still have nightmares about gigs running with the jersey wearing the hairy chest. Being so close to being gone, I was sure it was gone, and then it like, and even Bayern Munich, I visions. I can just see Oliver Kahn on his knees banging the fucking ground, and the other kid, the defender on the ground, is crying. His hands.
Do you know what I like? Of course, obviously being a United fan, it was great, but as an outside fan, do you not think that's a little justified for Bayern taking off their best players, thinking the game was over? Not that the United go on to score 2 in injury time, but the disrespect that Bayern showed to pull off Basler, Matthias, and others.
I think, do you know what it is? I don't think it was bias. I think they were kind of trying to be a bit tactical, weren't they? You know, do you know what I've never done either? I've never gotten over Schmeichel having the slowest cartwheel ever.
He's up there for about 10 minutes and then flips
how
it.
He didn't go in his snot and burst a collarbone or something like that is beyond me as well. He nearly did it one-handed. It was crazy and stuff like that. Look, you can't deny what he did. It was one of the most sensational wins in the Champions League and stuff like that. But I know we are talking Premier League and stuff like that as well. But again, you can't take it. You have to take into account the volume of games that was played that season, and Andy Cole still operating at a very high level in the league as well, and stuff like that, even though there was so many cup games and Champions League and all that kind of stuff. And even back then, you look at that Champions League and, you know, Bayern Munich, like the teams back then and stuff like that, it was like...
If you look at that, we had Barcelona twice in the group stage and Bayern, right?
Yeah. It wasn't an easy run.
And then it was Inter Milan, Juventus.
That's what I mean. You were playing top teams. And also the fact that you've got to remember as well, I mean, Keane basically chucked his career basically to get us to the final, if you think about it, with that booking, remember? So he kind of
Blomqvist.
Yeah. But that, the pass, and the way, remember when he got booked and the way he stared at him and stuff like that. But
he's like, you're dead.
As much as it kills me to lift the trophy, that just lifted the trophy as well. It was kind of to see Kane lifting the trophy, and what was it? They were grey suits they were wearing, wasn't it? For that, wasn't it? Grey suit he was wearing.
Definitely wasn't white anyway.
Yeah, and the fact that he didn't run and go and put the gear on like Terry, you know, and stuff like that. No, but yeah, I think like the treble season, it's so monumental. Even though it's Premier League goals, but the impact that all those other matches would have had on the mileage of those lads in that season and to still perform at that high level, I think for me it's Andy Cole shades it. And look, I love Terry Henry, so
I think obviously hearing the assists probably helped in that matter that it was so close. Like, would it have changed your mind if, say, Andy Cole had 50?
No, not really, because I think you'll probably find. I wonder, would you find if you go back and you look at Andy, if you look at the assists and the goals that came from them and the impact that they had,
how important they were.
I think you might find how important they were compared to Henry's. I'd say a lot of Henry's assists, and rebounds. I'm not sure about that. Not necessarily rebounds, but probably assists where maybe the game was already won and like he was kind of. He was putting in a teammate or something like that, or he was returning the favour to Bearcamp or something like that. No, I'm not saying they're not unbelievable either.
Ones.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, and that's no disrespect. I mean, Henry was sensational and stuff like that, but I think anything surrounding that treble season, and it kills me to say it as a Liverpool fan, it's hard to argue against it, really.
Yeah.
So for me, it's Andy Cole. Terrible, unsignable.
I would have been going on Ree.
Yeah, to be honest, I thought both of yous were going to go on Ree.
I was surprised when I went with Cole there. I thought he's going to go on Ree here, and then I'll give my pitch, and then I'll be like, no, I'll be on Ree.
Niall's always been, to be fair to him,
He is fair.
He's always a fair judge of,
As long as I can make an argument in my own mind for it, it's grand. I love Henri and stuff like that.
You can see the clock ticking in his head going, how do I do this now?
Once again, I would say to you, if I could sign either of them, I'd sign Henri.
If I could sign either of them, I'd sign both of them.
Yeah.
Drop the kitchen sink on both of them, all right.
There you have it, lads. The Real has brought up Andrew Cole as the best Premier League striker.
Carl will be happy when he watches. Carl's a United man as well, isn't he?
He is. He is indeed.
He was out with us at the final.
Okay.
It wasn't a good final to watch. But
Niall, do you want to throw some light for your old channel there?
Yeah,
everyone knows.
Yeah, it's the upper tier. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, wherever you pick up audios or visual shows, you'll find that we are there. Dropping shorts every day. A couple of shows coming up this week. We're doing a little bit of pro wrestling as well. So we have an interview coming up this week, I think, with Keith Elliott Greenberg. So hoping to have a chat with him at some stage this week. The man who wrote millions of books, from wrestling books, Superstar Billy Graham to Be the Man, Ric Flair, all the way to did stuff for Michael J. Fox, Bruce Springsteen. He's a New York bestseller.
Is he the fella that's after co-produce or co-writing the new Michael J. Fox movie? Still,
I'm not too sure. I know he's involved. He was involved in the WWF magazine back in the day. He's doing some of the A&E biography stuff at the moment.
Yeah,
that's been top drawer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's done some work with CNN as well and stuff like that. So really looking forward to talking to him. Quite a broad range of stuff. He's done everything from marine biologists to all sorts of stuff. He's done the broadness of the range is crazy. Other than that, there'll be kind of football stuff going up. We'll do a transfer show this week. We're also going to preview the Champions League on Thursday, and we'll also be doing our combined 11s for the season. So the best combined 11, and also excluding the top 6, and also our combined 11 flops of the season as well, which should be interesting. So that's
always a good show there.
Yeah, good.
But as Niall said, the single best place you can go for football and wrestling content.
Yeah,
straight over to the upper tier. Nowhere else needed, lads.
Absolutely.
Ted, what we got going?
Same stuff as always with us. The recasting competition going back and forth. It's always a bit of a tough battle. I think when it comes down to the argumentative side, it's me that will put the arguments forward when I feel I'm being shafted on a point. The rest of the lads, they need to up their game on those arguments. To be
fair now, I do like an all argument.
Yeah, you're usually all right, but the other two lads that want to step up the game arguing against me and you, that's why they can't get a look in at the championship one way or the other. Us two passing it around like Rock and Austin back in the day.
Puff, give, man. Don't fuck up the rotation.
But yeah, of course, don't forget to check us out every week. We'll have this show brought to you monthly. We haven't decided yet what our next recast reel will be on, but we'll have guests, and hopefully we'll have the Sherlock and King back. Hopefully whatever technical issues affected the Dynamo will be sorted, and he'll be back by then as well. And if it potentially have Niall if he's free as well. He's a busy man with all his podcasting and his actual real life job. But as always,
jobs.
Yeah,
jobs.
Don't forget to check out the boys as Eden's not here. Don't forget to check him out on the Chelsea Roar, Dynamo's Dozen, and then the boys as always over on the Slob for all your horror needs. Don't forget to check that out. Interviews, film reviews, everything. Yeah, it's a great show if you're into the horror. If you're not,
watch it anyway.
Watch it anyway. It might not be the show for you, but you won't know if you don't try it. And if you are into the horror, it's definitely up your alley, because
couple of big ones coming up soon.
Yeah, a lot of big guests and stuff on it as well over the last while.
Did you cover that Evil Dead Rises?
We did.
Absolutely, we did. So good.
What?
Loved it.
We all loved it.
Desperate. I hated it.
Really?
Oh, I hated it. Yeah, hated it.
The lads might have to get you on to give your opinion on that over on the slab. Then
Did you do Batista's? That knock at the cabin?
not yet. We haven't.
No, not yet. I'm the only one that's seen it.
It's in the line.
So that's why you're taking your time, Craig, is
it? You'd be surprised at my view on it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's, unless you have anything to plug in there, Greg, do you?
Nah, you done it for me.
No, well then.
Good old strike partner Ted there.
Yeah, I'm a striking expert. I always know who the best striker is, lads.
The man with more assists than goals for a striker.
The jersey was a giveaway, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Very close to me heart. But
Kind of like the tree behind you there.
I would have worn one if they still fitted me.
But until next week, don't forget to like, share, follow, and all that good stuff. And good luck.